Were you guys competitive with each other?
It wasn't a word thing. We still are. I joke and say this, but I'm so serious. We just had an air hockey tournament and fingers were we were going at it. Like, we are very competitive. But I've always been a very
air hockey.
Air hockey? But we have a very competitive family that, like, everything we're doing, it could be spades, it could be any type of card game, board game, we're going at it.
Now, is that everybody, mom and dad included?
Oh, yeah. Don't step to the table if you're not ready for the smoke, because you're going to get trash talking. There might be some hurt feelings. There might be some alliances. You never know what you're going to get. But
that's what I was going to ask you. Are there hurt feelings, and has anybody ever threatened to go to blows?
Oh, there's definitely, yes, absolutely.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production.
Agee, the woman joining us today, 3-time All-American soccer player at LaSalle University, where she led the team to 4. I ain't say 1. I ain't say 2, 3, 4 NCAA tournament appearances. She received her master's in education. I mean, she went to one of them real schools, like a real school, Lehigh University. You got to know something to get up in there. She now works with ESPN as a reporter and analyst, and is the founder of Planted Not Buried, an organization built to empower young athletes, students, and entrepreneurs. We'd like to welcome to the Hoop Dreams podcast, Miss Renee Washington. I am Will Gates, and that's my dog,
Arthur Agee. Thanks, Renee, for joining the show. We really appreciate you.
Well, thank you guys. What a great introduction. I'm happy to be here. Let's do it.
It's all true. I ain't make it up. It's all true. It's all true.
Yeah.
You did some digging.
Yes, it is.
We are so happy to have you on the show. One, because with everything that's going on in the world today, we obviously want to get your perspective on it. But truly, our show is about you, Renee Washington, your origin, your background. We want to dive into your origin story. Tell us, where did you grow up, and what was your neighborhood like, and what was it being a kid growing up?
Yeah, so I grew up in New Jersey and played sports my entire life. A lot of people don't know that my background actually started as an athlete, as you guys have shared. And so I played every sport. My parents were athletes. My dad played pro ball overseas. So they actively got my siblings and I from a young age into sports and just allowed us to try and see what we enjoyed. And I was definitely, and my family is definitely, I should say, a basketball family. Like, we are through and through basketball and football, but I was best at soccer. I played basketball, I ran track, I tried every other sport, but soccer was my best sport. So I went that direction. I grew up in a Central Jersey neighborhood where I grew up playing outside. I was playing with my older sisters. I was playing with neighbors. I was playing with boys, girls, older, younger, did not matter. I was always competing and playing and just having fun doing that. It wasn't always structured and planned and all that. It was literally just going outside and playing. And that's what really fed my athleticism as a whole, because I was the kid that was just like racing people or biking or whatever it was, just always doing something fun and getting outside. So I feel like because of that, it really helped me as I was just progressing through my career, because I was internally motivated. It wasn't my parents saying, go outside and get better. Go out. Of course, there were times to be like, look, Renee, you need to go work on this. Your first touch is off. Your shot is off, whatever. But for the most part, it was me. I was the one that was really the driving force behind my career. So I did get a chance to play some professionally. I did get a chance to have a great college soccer career, as you shared. But then came to that point of what's next, and where do I go from here? And my undergrad degree was actually in public relations. I didn't even study sports broadcasting, and all my internships were in that: marketing, social media, all that types of work, and just made a leap of faith that as I was coaching and getting my master's out of Lehigh, I was determined to make that transition into being a sports reporter. And just started grinding, started doing anything I could, freelance writing, helping with the Lehigh Sports Media Department to shoot and edit and put together highlight, whatever it was I could do. I was just getting as much hands-on experience. And since then, I've been fortunate to work in every sport at either the professional or college level. I've done everything from sideline reporting to color and play-by-play to writing, radio work, TV, digital, and just learning and getting, just being a sponge to take it all in. So now being able to work in all these different sports, I've loved it. I love the versatility. I love the excitement that comes with it. But it's also only been 6 years since I made this first leap of faith into broadcasting. So excited to see how this continues to grow, for sure.
Well, Renee, when you say you come from an athletic family, give us the lowdown on that. How many brothers and sisters? Who played what?
Yeah. So there were 4 of us for my siblings, my 2 older sisters and my younger brother. We all played basketball. We all played AAU. We all played travel. We all played school ball. And then for soccer, my brother actually did not play soccer, but my sisters and I played soccer and ran track. And so I played on like the club team for travel soccer, school teams. I played on the state team, the regional team that we have in soccer. And then my sisters both played college sports as well. So one played basketball, one played soccer. My brother did not play in college, but did play all the way through high school. And then honestly, outside of that, even my extended family, like I have family that's played and ran track, played in the NFL, played in all different levels of a variety of different sports. So like when I talk sports family, I mean, like we rarely get together. First of all, sports are always on TV around my family. That was like growing up, that was our like dinner. All of our family get together and stuff was like us sitting around the TV or going to games, going to Sixers games, going to see the Eagles play, whoever, and just always being around sports. And even if it's cards, board games, whatever, we are just always competitive and competing, even to this day.
Hey, Renee, give us this term because I've always heard it from every East Coast girl. What's that Jersey girl mean?
The Jersey girl?
Yeah, I'm a Jersey girl. I hear Wendy Williams say it. I hear a few, them East Coast women is, man, I could do just what you could do. What? Let's get it.
Yeah, well, because Jersey girls we're built different, we get a lot of heat because of the fact that we're not New York. We're not. No. Like we get a little bit of everything in us. We got some New Yorkers, some Philly, some DC. Like we got it all mixed in there. But we're also the type of people, we're not going to back down. That's why a lot of really good athletes come through Jersey and good big name like rappers like Queen Latifah, like people over the years that have come through Jersey that we can claim they fully grew up in Jersey that had that like extra backbone and like oomph where we're not going to back down from things. So it's crazy because that's a big part of
one of my favorite singers, Whitney Houston.
Some of the great
Jersey girl.
We produce a lot of great talent.
Shout out to the Queen Latifah. Yes. Shout out. Well, it's funny. You're so competitive. Then it's interesting with that competitive nature. How did you pick soccer over the other sports?
Right.
Oh, because I was much better at soccer. So I was leading goal scorer, leading assists. Soccer was the sport that came easy to me in that sense. That was like easier, I should say. It was a sport that I had a lot more opportunity in also. Like I mentioned, I played on the state team. So that's the top players of everybody in the state. The regional team, that's leading up to I never made the national team, but that's what I was working towards, So a lot of players, even that still play to this day in the NWSL and the MLS, I grew up playing with. So when opportunities came in the recruiting process, I was getting recruited for basketball also, but I had way more offers and opportunities in soccer. And I didn't come from a family. We were very close, but we weren't rich. We needed a scholarship. There were 4 of us going through the process. And my parents could not afford to pay for us to go to college, especially with us being so close in age that 3 of us were in college at the same time. It's not cheap. So, because of that, I knew that I needed a scholarship, but also I knew that I wanted to go somewhere I could play. I didn't want to go somewhere I could just sit for 4 years. And soccer definitely gave me the biggest opportunity as I was getting recruited by schools like UConn and Georgetown and LaSalle and, bigger name schools that I knew that was the direction I had to go. So yeah, as a competitor, I was definitely not picking a sport that I was not as talented in because I wanted to be somewhere where I was successful and I was the player that it's growing up, people were like, watch out for Renee. It wasn't even like, it was watch out for number 3. And then as I got older, watch out for Renee, guard Renee, get Renee. So I just love the excitement around it, and being able to be a part of so many.
Clearly, that is the case.
Yeah.
Clearly, that is the case because you went to Pennington Prep High School, played soccer there. Hey, Agee, let me just run off some of these amazing accomplishments. From 2006 to 2009, you won the Prep A State Championship. Agee, not one year, but every year. Every year. In 2018, your team had 18 wins. Get this, 0 losses. Number one in the nation. And you personally, you were all Prep first team 3 years running. Tell us about those experiences and how crazy was that high school run for you? And did you play penalty specifically for their soccer program, or was it just the neighborhood school?
Okay, so there was a prep school. So no, we had players and it was a boarding school too. So we did have players that weren't just local. And obviously as a prep school, they don't openly call it recruiting, but there's a level of recruitment there. But being a part of Pennington, and you really did your research, I love it. Being a part of Pennington's success with soccer, my older sisters, who are 3 years older than me, they're twins, were actually part of like the change for the team. Where like when they started to when they graduated, the team really took off. So then when I was coming in, it was like a no-brainer that was the school I was going to go to and everything. And then my group took it the next step. As you talk about that 2008 team that was undefeated and ranked number 1 in the country, didn't lose a single game and won all of the titles. We just won whatever we could. But just being in that environment really helped mold me, because it was the first time I was outside. You talk about the neighborhood kids. That was the first time I was really getting exposed to players outside of my neighborhood. So as I grew, my bubble grew. I went from rec soccer when I was like 6, 7 years old and playing with just Ewing Township players, to then travel soccer, to then the state team and regional team and high school team, where I was now playing with some of the best players in the country. So as a high schooler to get that, and as you guys know, high school sports are not always competitive. There's a lot of high school teams out here where they have players on the field that can't walk and chew gum. And so for my team to have practices and games where it was we're playing against players that are going on to play on the national team professionally, play at UNC and Duke and all these big name schools. And that's every day, so it was just next level for sure. And there's basketball programs that it reminds me of too, but it mirrored that, where like we were a top team in the country, where we were getting the best players that were 4 or 5 star recruits coming out of high school. So that just, for me, raised my bar, that I was someone that was now, able to see what else is out there. Outside of my own neighborhood, outside of my own friends in my township, I'm playing against players from the area that are better than me, older than me, faster than me. How do I evolve and adjust to be able to keep up with that? And then, like you said, eventually I did. I got to the point where I was the leading goal scorer, leading the team, getting a lot of first team accolades, things like that player of the year, whatever it may have been, that I was able to now say, I'm not just on this team. I'm one of the best players on this team, So it was a really big challenge that as a high schooler, helped so much with just me taking that next step, but not even just in soccer, but just in life, to kind of know what else is out there.
Renee, did you have any idols that you looked up to while you were at Pennington? Pro idols that was already on the pro circuit, and you was like, man, I want to do what she doing? Yeah.
It's crazy because soccer has gotten to a spot now that it wasn't fully in when I was growing up, especially as a Black girl. Of course, I looked up to players like Mia Hamm and Brandy Chastain and, those types of women that were on that like 1996 U.S. women's national team and winning gold medals. But I never fully had the representation that I do now. There was Brianna Scurry, who was a goalkeeper. There weren't many Black women soccer players. So I didn't even have, even for me, I wanted to play pro soccer, but I didn't know it was possible. I didn't know I could get there. It's something I was getting, but I didn't know I could actually do. So I think even now as an adult, I can openly and honestly admit, no, I didn't have enough. And I wonder how much that would have changed if I did. A lot of my idols were like my 2 older sisters or people that were around me that were better than me, that were forcing me to raise my level. but I didn't even have those college or professional idols. The same way I did like Allen Iverson in basketball. You know, that was someone I wanted to be like AI. I rocked number 3. I wanted to be that. I was not. I was a different style player, but there wasn't that in soccer. So it's interesting, and I'm glad it's kind of started to change more, that there are more idols of different representation for the next generation of athletes.
Absolutely. And really just in sports in general. I mean, particularly when it comes to women's sports. I mean, it has been a huge movement. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. But I want to actually just keeping it where we at too. So you finished top dog. Agee, she doing it. And now the recruiting process. How early did you commit and how did you end up at LaSalle?
Yeah, well, times were different back then. You know, recruiting wasn't as fast. Now kids are getting recruited in middle school, you know, between social media and just all the access that gives, and even like being able to have more videos of yourself, like highlight videos and stuff. The process is moving way faster. And I've been on the other side of the process when I was coaching at Lehigh and even saw it firsthand then. So I didn't actually commit until the fall of my senior year, but my parents urged me and encouraged me not to rush. And I'm glad I didn't, because LaSalle was kind of like my in the middle of the pack school. Like, it was a school that I wasn't actively as interested in. You know, it wasn't my top 3. And I just stayed the course. And as I was visiting, having conversations, watching teams play and following them, you know, I started to get a sense of which school best aligned with me. And LaSalle wasn't the most talented of the schools that I was looking at. But by the end of the time I was there, we were better than a lot of those schools that I was looking at. You know, that's just kind of the way that the team grew. And so I saw coming in that LaSalle was a program that was middle of the A10 conference, but had a big change of youth coming in and just the talent that was coming in, that I just thought, I could be a part of this team. And again, just coming for playing time, enjoy my 4 years, not even knowing all that I would be able to accomplish. But it was the school that really fit best for me and checked the most boxes. Not the school that a lot of kids tend to do that was the flashiest. It wasn't. It's a small school in Philadelphia. But it had what I needed, and it had what I wanted out of my own experience.
So I'm interested in knowing those other top 3 or 4 schools that was interested in you, but you wasn't interested in them.
No, when I was going through the process, UConn and Georgetown were definitely the 2 that I was actively very interested in. Fairfield, actually, out of Connecticut, was another one that I was very interested in. Drexel was another school that was a top. But I just remember in conversations with a lot of coaches, even outside of those schools specifically, you know, you just listen and you learn different things that you pick up on of like, okay, the way they're talking or what they're explaining or their vision maybe fits me or doesn't fit me. And LaSalle was a school, I went to their camps and was actively talking to the coaching staff. And just as I was working through the process, just kept finding myself naturally feeling like that school fit me.
Did you take unofficial visits to the schools?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I, you know, especially a school like LaSalle, which is an hour away from where I grew up, was able to go watch them play. You know, that's a lot of what I still try to stress for anybody in the recruiting process is go see what they're like. Go visit their campus. Go see what's the food like around there? What's the vibe? What are they saying at a game? What's their body language like? You know, what's the coach saying and doing? All those little things go a long way in terms of what you want. So by visiting, and I would go see games, I would go just follow and just keep up with what was going on. That's where I was able to kind of separate the schools that I was most interested in, for sure. Because conversations are one thing, they could schmooze you. But what happens when you're kind of off and they don't really know you're there or whatever, you kind of catch them in their natural state, I guess you can call it. Then what are they like, you know?
Well, speaking of smooshing, though, your smooshing was well worth it. I mean, since I'm throwing all these stats out there, let me give you some more, because Agee, I mean, she's at LaSalle killing it. How about this? She had, you know, pretty okay time at LaSalle. You know, she was the A10 Rookie of the Year, you know, 2011.
No, I should have been, actually. I got robbed. I was on the all-rookie team, though. I'm
giving you...
Oh, but you made the all-rookie team.
You made the all-rookie team.
Yeah, yeah. I was not Rookie of the Year. I got robbed of that. But it's
right, that's what I said. You were the A10 all-rookie team. Yeah, 2011, you were, get this, the women's soccer All-American, and you made an NCAA tournament appearance. Get this, every year. Now, she just told us they weren't the best school, but they sure got pretty good when somebody got there. I mean, I'm just saying, what made those teams you played on so good?
Yeah, it was really like lightning in a bottle. It was a great mix of other teammates that were also just as competitive. I've always been kind of like an under the radar underdog in that sense. Looking back, it's like, wow, you had all these great accolades, but coming through it was not someone that was actually given the credit I thought I deserved, to be honest. Again, I'm a Black girl in soccer that my dad coached me in club, and he didn't play soccer, and I didn't have the same background or the same look as some other players. So LaSalle was actually a team full of those types of players, where we were all like players that weren't given the kudos and the accolades that we deserved. And we were undervalued in that sense and slipped through the recruiting process. And players that got to college and were playing their best, not the opposite, not those players that peaked in high school. So it was just a really competitive group that was really always out to prove something. And that hunger is different when you're going into games and there's no pressure on you. But I don't care who I'm going up against. It could be Rutgers, it could be University of Washington, whoever it is, we're gonna go in there and we're gonna give you 90 minutes of hard fought soccer. That was what that group was, And so for me, that's what aligned with me so well, because as a competitor, I don't care who you are on the other side of the field. You're stepping in between the lines just like me. So it doesn't matter where you're ranked, what your program looks like. Your campus might be 10 times bigger than our small little campus of LaSalle. You might have better gear or whatever else, but it's not going to put the ball in the back of the net, So that was kind of that, like, we brought that edge that we were unafraid of anybody. We didn't back down. We were like they make movies about teams like this, and that was us. We were like that underdog team. So I think for me, that's something I've always strived to bring to any team or any organization or anything that I do, that like, we're not going to go in and do the bare minimum. And we're definitely not going to go in and try to keep up with the Joneses. We're gonna set the precedent. We're gonna be the group that's doing something different. And LaSalle definitely embodied that as well.
Hey, Renee,
actually,
I want you to give some of our younger listeners out here, some confidence and some words of encouragement, because I'm sure, like you said, as good as you was, you had to make the adjustment from a prep school to college. And just give us our listeners a little taste of what that was like for you, those little minute adjustments you had to make from that prep school to make it and be a real good college player.
Yeah, well, I also had to make an adjustment from public school to private school. I went to a public school that was, Ewing is just outside of Trenton and Princeton. Depending on who I'm talking to, we'll share which one. It's just outside of Trenton and Princeton, but it's not the wealthiest neighborhood. And I was going to a private school where some of my classmates had islands and helicopters and planes and multiple houses. I'm like, what is this? And then going into a college where it's like, what is this? It's an adjustment when you move from one environment to the next. So regardless of what that adjustment is, that's where you have to just be your authentic self, in the sense that you be respectful, you learn, you listen, you put in the work, you put in the time. Everywhere that I went, that first year was good, but the second year was way better, and that's something where you've got to understand it might not happen right away. I went into Pennington, for example, the first year, I think I had 4 goals or something. And then by the end of that, I was the leading goal scorer on the team that was starting. That was all, player of the year and everything. Same thing at LaSalle. I mean, I had 12 goals my first year, but every year got better, and you've got to continue raising the bar. So don't go into it with expectations that it's just going to happen because you showed up. That's not enough. Everybody's showing up. You have to work for it. You've got to work for it every day. And the competition, as much as I'm a competitor, is really not with everybody else. It's with yourself. I've always been competitive with other people because my bar is so high that I want more for myself. So I want to be the best at everything I'm doing. That's that motivation that you have to have, that like, regardless of which environment you're in, regardless of what's going on around you, you're going to focus on what you can control, and you're going to focus on being your best self. And then that's where the chips fall where they may. And that's what changed in my career. I wasn't focused on what I wasn't getting. I was focused on what I had. Okay, you snubbed me for Rookie of the Year, for example. That's fine. I'm going to go be an All-American. Next year I come in, I'm an All-American. Now what? You know, like I'm going to show, I'm that motivation of like proving people wrong and trying to be better each year, each day, honestly, is what keeps you going to be successful. So, you know, through the setbacks, because it was not always easy, through the setbacks, through the changes, through the challenges, you now know that you'll be able to, if you have the right perspective, approach it all the right way and get through it one way or the other.
You hear that, our younger listeners out there? She said, when it gets tough, don't duck tail and run. You muster up your strength and you run through that brick wall and you get through it.
Is there a companion that goes along with that though? Because you can be a competitor, but what is that thing that push you beyond the level of competition? For example, like when I hear you talk, I go like, man, Renee is sharp. Renee is on it. Renee is serious about her business. I'm saying, where did you get that from to add to that competitive nature that you got?
Yeah. No, I think I'm built a little different. I'm wired a little different because my competitiveness is like with everything. But I always said that like I hate losing more than I like winning. You know, I want to win just as much as I want to breathe. And I think not everybody has that motivation. And I think for me, the desire to be better started because nothing was handed to me. Look, I'm not going to act like I grew up in a broken household and anything like that. I have two loving parents that are married, that have been married for this July will be 36 years. Excuse me. Let me not, 35
Congratulations.
Year. Been married for 35 years this July. They always had food on the table. We always had a roof over our head, but nothing was given to me. They forced me to have to fight for everything I wanted, you know, and I've always found ways to do that. And like I said, as a kid, I remember days that I had a bad game, I'd go grab, it didn't even have to be cones. I'll grab a shoe, whatever it is. I'll make my own cones. I'm going to go out and work on some stuff. I'm going to do some dribbling. I'm going to throw the ball up in the air to myself and work on my first touch. Like I was and always have been a junkie for just getting better. And not everybody has that drive. So like for me, what I've always learned and what my parents taught me is you need to be 10 times better than everybody else. And even in my career to this day, that's why I struggle with doing just one thing, because that to me is complacency. I want to be doing multiple things. I'm going to be continuing to find ways that you can't overlook me. You can't disrespect what I bring to the table. And so I think that's motivation is what's needed for more people, and understand that life is never going to be easy. And like I said, it's not enough to just show up. You've got to continue to find ways to grind for what you want and to make it happen. So for me, it's being articulate and educated and informed and balanced and versatile, that I'm going to be able to step into any environment and figure out a way to make it work, you know? So
I like that. Can you give us those 4 things again you just said particularly for our young listeners? Give us them 4 things again.
Be articulate, educated.
Yes.
What else did I say?
Versatile,
and balanced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Heavy right there. I mean, I just want to let you know, first of all, you inspiring me, and I know I got some years on you, so you got me motivated sitting over here. But what we want to do with you right now, Agee and I, we got this thing called halftime. And what we're going to do is we're going to throw some quick hitters at you, and we just want you to fire these things off. So, first question for you. Who are the top players, and give me 3, that you were influenced by as a young athlete?
Allen Iverson, Teresa Witherspoon, and Mia Hamm.
Love it.
A couple of your favorite interviews you have done.
I always get this question. I never know the answer. I would say one of my favorites actually is definitely Natasha Cloud from the Mystics, because she's such a high energy person. She's from out of Philly, so we have a lot of overlapping connections. But she's just such a high energy person, and it's just like genuine. And as a media person, as a reporter, you don't always get that. You get a lot of scripted answers. So she definitely, I would say, is one of my favorites for the sake of like, it just was natural. It just felt a lot easier. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with her. Let's go with her.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 3 toughest players you played against in college.
Oh, Morgan O'Brien. She actually, I don't think she plays with the women's national team anymore. From UVA. I played against Becca. What was her last name? Weiner? What's her last? No, not Weiner. Becca. What's her last name? Oh my gosh! I had this one. I can't think of her last name for the life of me now. But she went to University of Richmond, and we played against each other. And she actually is one that got Rookie of the Year. So we were all 4 years against each other in the conference. And then, so she was tough for a different reason. And then I would say my friend Colleen Williams, actually, because she also was in our conference. So we had to play her a lot. And she was a year older than me. And she was another one that was getting a lot, like we were competing for a lot of those scoring accolades and things. And whenever we played each other, it was our teams, it was a fight. Dayton versus LaSalle was a fight. So I would say those 3 for sure.
Got you. All right, check this one out. Which broadcasters do you look up to? And I was going to say model your style after, but you a Jersey girl. You ain't modeling your style after nobody. So I'm going to just break it down. Which broadcasters do you look up to, male or female?
Yeah, because I do pull things from everybody. So I do like Carrie Champion. Of course, she was one of the ones that when I was first getting started in broadcasting, she was still at First Take at the time. So I just remember being like, I want to be like that. David Aldridge, who's actually a good friend of mine, is someone that I definitely look up to. And I love the versatility that Doris Burke brings. Because she actually won her, there's a few, her, Lisa Salters, that showed me that like I can too also cover multiple sports or multiple levels, college, pro. So yeah, for different reasons, I would say those are some of the ones.
You better watch out for Doris. Doris might try to suit it up on you and say, let's hit the court. Doris don't be playing. Right. And I got one final quick hitter for you. What is in Renee Washington MP3 player right now? What you listening to?
Well, there's some new music that just came out. I'm a big Beyonce fan, so.
All right.
Definitely.
Beyonce?
Oh, yeah.
Who else you rocking?
I like Drake, and of course he just dropped Honestly Nevermind. So I've been learning those songs. And I'm an old school, like classic music. So I like my like R&B, like 90s, 80s types of music that.
You can't say that and don't give us no names. If you're going to jump in the 90s, you're going to have to throw some names out there at us.
That's our era, baby.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you're going to bring it back home. Come on with it.
Look, like we talked about Whitney. I love me some nice, old, like classic timeless music that never gets old. I can listen to it any time of day. It's a vibe. Like it's, yeah. So that's
give me one name though. Give me one name.
One?
Yeah, if you got one classic 90s.
Like if I had to pick one.
Yes.
It depends on what we're going for. Are we going for if we're going old school, are we going like a New Edition Boys to Men type of slowing it down? Are we going more
you can leave it right there.
Early Mariah Carey? Are we going a little faster here with
yeah.
Tony Tone? Like I don't know where we're going, what direction we're going here, but all of it. Honestly, I grew up on that music. My parents' music was also a big thing in our house. You know, the best cookouts and get-togethers and holidays, there's music playing in the background, whether it's Temptations' Christmas album, like whatever it is, we were listening to it.
Agee, can you imagine growing up in their household? They waking up in the morning to see who's going to be first downstairs. I mean, can you? Right. You know what I'm saying?
I know who was first.
I mean,
it's one piece of bacon left. Who gonna get it? Well,
let's go.
Who armed long enough? Who closest to the stove?
That's right.
I'm not gonna lie. It's funny because I always get asked questions about like role models and inspiration and who helped me get to where I am today. And my family is very close. My immediate family and my parents, my siblings, we are very close. And we were like, it's so cheesy, but we were like movie nights, game nights, whatever. Like we just baking things, whatever it was, women like racing in the pool. We were just always together. And like the family that if one of us is playing, you're going to see all of us. We're all there. We're all supporting. And that still is to this day. I see them all the time, fortunately. And yeah, so we compete about everything, whether it's a karaoke, singing battle, whether we're dancing, like whatever it is, we are just always having fun together. And that's family time is like, especially with social media, I feel like we don't see that as much. You know, a lot of people are just growing up on social media.
I'm feeling that big time. Well, I want to thank you for doing halftime with us. And I want to move into this because you had, again, an impeccable high school, college, sports career in general. But you made the decision to go right away for your master's. Did you consider playing pro at all?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. I actually was playing pro after like the senior year of college. So for women's soccer, it starts in like February, March. So as I was finishing up undergrad, I was also working through preseason and everything with Sky Blue was the team at the time that's now Gotham FC. And it just wasn't for me. You know, I had gotten to a point where I fully recognized that and felt like I had gotten all I could out of my playing career. Of course, there were other factors. I had been dealing with injuries. I had been dealing with politics. I was just mentally tired and mentally needed a change. And I wonder how much would have been different had I not been at that point. Like physically, I felt like I could keep playing, but mentally I didn't. And so for my own well-being and mental health, it just was time to make a change. And so I knew as I was going through the NWSL preseason, now granted in 2014 compared to now, women's pro soccer was much further behind. It's definitely advanced now. And I think that may have also, or I know that was also a factor because I was looking at my livelihood as an adult, what was possible, what made most sense for me financially, logistically. And so just weighing things, it just felt like playing was going to be more of a con than a pro. So I was starting to make that transition and knowing that I already knew I had an opportunity to coach college soccer. Lehigh, the coaches had already told me, even if I was playing, they would let me go play and then coach once the season was over because it's not the NBA. It's not a year-round commitment, especially then. So I would have been done in time to come and still be able to coach and still get my master's and still work through that. But I just felt like it was time to fully make that adjustment. And I was also at that time starting to realize that I wanted to be a sports reporter. So I was also actively trying to pursue my master's and get that, but also pursue a career. And so I just felt like it was time. It was time to make that leap. It was time to make that move into just something that was going to help me out long term in getting my career going.
Now, you got your undergrad in?
Public relations.
Public relations. Interesting. I love it. And your master's is in?
Educational leadership. Which is, it's crazy because when I first started out of college, I was like, I'm not actually doing anything from my degrees. But like Planted Not Buried is literally PR and educational leadership is like a big part of what I'm doing within that. So it's just interesting the way God moves you and you don't really understand. Like, I'm like, oh man, I didn't major in what I'm doing. No, I did though. I had to go create that. It was something I created outside of my career. I'm also in the process of, and I've been saying this for a while now, but it's actually going to get done soon, publishing my first book. A lot of the things that I studied actually align with what I'm doing outside of reporting as well. So it's just interesting the way that like what you want looks different than what it will actually be. You know, like what you imagine things are going to look like. The reality of it is going to look different, but you'll still be doing some of those same things in a better way, honestly.
So how did you break into the broadcast business?
Oof. So when I was at Lehigh, I started telling, even the coaches knew that I didn't want to continue coaching. I was always a good coach, but it wasn't something I was passionate about. You know, I coached youth soccer for many years, even after, actually up until last year, I was coaching youth soccer on the side. And so I knew that I wanted to do something that I was more passionate about. And so they, through the Lehigh athletics department, just got me involved with helping with the Lehigh media team. People, you know, the group that's covering all the sports and out at games and the website and everything that you see for every college team. I was doing all that and I was learning. I just started reaching out outside of Lehigh. I got into freelance writing for this unpaid role where I was just writing and covering Big Five basketball. You know, I was covering all things Philly basketball and writing articles about it. So I just started reaching out and applying. I applied to every single job possible. Anything that was in the industry, I was just applying and just getting reps and learning and shadowing people and reaching out to people. I took this like certificate program with Sports Media Worldwide, which was a company that just has these like highly intensive, engaging certificate programs. And I did one of those for sports media. And that also just helped to open my eyes to a lot of things and network. So I just took advantage of anything that was at my fingertips that I could do. You know, I changed my social media. I created a YouTube channel. I created a website, like just actively started with what I had, just worked with what I had. And then from there, I got my first internship, which I actually took in place of the full-time job I was offered to coach D1 soccer as a lead assistant coach for an internship, and took that leap of faith, and it paid off. And that internship led to my first job, and then just continued growing and learning from there.
I'm loving that.
Wow.
I'm loving that. Obviously, we know you being a Black woman. How has social media changed the way journalists can get noticed now? Because, you know, obviously ESPN is huge, but you mentioned her earlier, Carrie Champion. She's doing amazing work outside of, we call them the big stores. Do you think the social media channels have made it harder or provided more opportunities now for people to get content out?
I think it's a blessing and a curse, to be honest, because I do see where we live in a world where people are just looking for trends, literally. And so right now, like influencers, for example, it's a trending thing of, if I want to grow my following, I'm going to bring in somebody that has X amount of followers because they have a large audience, and now their audience is going to be a fan of us, you know? And so it's made it even that much more challenging that, like, I know personally, I've been trying to grow my own social media presence for that exact reason. You know, people are getting jobs not based on experience anymore, not even based on who they know, based on their following. They're getting hired, they're getting booked for events, they're getting flown out for speaking engagements and red carpet opportunities and things like that, simply because they have, you know, however many followers. So I think that's the hard part of it, because there are a lot of people like myself, where I know over the years I was told, you just need experience. You got to have 3 to 5 years of this and whatever else. And now I'm seeing college aged and older that are getting jobs simply because they are an influencer. You know, so I think from that side, it's hard. But on the other side, if used correctly, you too can take advantage of that too, because people are looking for, and when hiring, somebody that can hold an audience, keep them engaged, interact with them. And that's the job. Whether you're on air, whether you're on their social media page, whatever it is, if you can create and grow an audience and interact and engage with them in a powerful way, that is what this industry is all about. So for that side, I think it is a blessing that you now can reach so many more people. Like we connected, you know, there's so many more people you can connect with through social media that would not have happened if we weren't in these virtual spaces. So I think from the networking stance and the relationships and the reach, I honestly know people all over the world. I've never met them in person, like you guys, never met them in person, but I've had conversations with them. I feel like we go way back. If they were in town, I'd invite them to the cookout. But we've never met face to face. But because of social media, there's someone I can turn to, whether it's just to have a chat or even, hey, I need a letter of recommendation, or, you know, here's a job opening. I think you'd be great for this. Like those types of people that you now have in your circle, in your village, that you've literally never seen in person. So I think there's a good and a bad.
You know what, Renee, one thing you said about the trends, because trends, I never was into trends or liked the trends and none of that. I was straight up authentic, real, just everything about that's the one thing I don't like about social media. And they try to flaunt it like it's for real. Be like, I really want to tell people, dude, you ain't got all them damn followers. You don't even know half of them people. They don't even, come on, man. Stop lying. Y'all buying followers, bro. I get people coming through my DMs. Hey, you want to up your following page? No, I don't. Yeah, I need real followers, though, that know me, that bought stuff off my website, that can actually text me, can send me a DM and say, hey, man, how your mom doing? Them real followers. All that other trend stuff out there, I need this to get to this level. No, if you stay true and authentic, like you say, and put in the work, those it will gradually go, and you will get those. You'll get in front of all that the new press. I mean, just think about it. Me and William Gates was in a movie that was done 27 years ago. Me and William get free press all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to try to show that we still relevant on her. No, we just living our regular lives.
Will Gates won one of them NIL deals. Can I get an NIL deal? That's what Will Gates won.
Can we get is there a way that those of us that missed out can kind of back that?
That's right. Let's go back.
Do you know what I would have told Tom Brokaw? Hey, Renee, Tom Brokaw, ABC dude, flew down to my school at Arkansas State to even to do an interview with me. I should have charged him $20,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I ain't doing no interview with you, man. Put $20,000 into my bank account, bro.
They should have grandfathered everybody that got missed. We should have all got an automatic, like, couple thousand.
Something.
Something little.
Something. Hey, Renee, I want to throw this at you because I know we don't have you for much longer, but I did want to touch on this because this is particularly with women's sports. ESPN in particular just did a great thing on Title IX. Just amazing. But then all the celebrations on the heel of that, we have our government come in and undo 50 years of Roe versus Wade. What is your take, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. I always say to people, the only ones that are surprised by this are the ones that are affected by this every day. Like when different things happen, I think back to George Floyd in 2020 and, all that we've been fighting for and Black Lives Matter and equal opportunity. I'm not the least bit surprised by it that there are, and somebody posted like, when is it going to happen? When is there going to be a time that white heterosexual men are affected by some of these massive decisions that are being made? But as a Black woman, I am used to these decisions not being in our favor. I'm used to, unfortunately, being the one that's not looked out for, not protected. And to have Roe versus Wade overturned, 50 years is not that long. That's many people have lived to see that and have now lived to see this. But I think it just is a reminder that we have a lot more work to do. And I think every once in a while we're given those like slap in the face moments that our government, our world has more work to be done, that we need to continue voting, that you can't just sit back and watch. You have to actively make sure that you're doing your part, whether it's local election or national elections, to do your part. But then also paying attention and keeping up to date with what's going on. Because if you aren't paying attention to history, that's when history can repeat itself. So Roe versus Wade, and I just heard in Pennsylvania, they're talking about possibly also moving to having abortion be illegal as well. And they're moving in the same direction because it's now after it was decided on the federal level, it now has to be decided on the state level. Mm-hmm. So it's still not over, but it's terrible to see the fact that we always take a half step forward and 20 steps back. Here we are finally excited to be celebrating 50 years of Title IX and women getting equal opportunities, and then turn around and then say, oh, but you can't choose what you want to do with your body. You might get some equal opportunities in sports, but you can't choose what you want to do with your body. And it's just painful. It's painful.
That's what I hate, Renee. That the government, you going, like you said, you made 2 steps forward, now you going 6 steps back. You trying to tell a black woman what to do with her body. I say, man, listen, I tell the government and all the Supreme Court justices, the only person that can tell a black woman what to do with her body is a black mama. Mm-hmm. That's it. Not no black man, not no white man, only a black mama. and the daughter ain't gonna even like that hearing it from the mama, but she know best.
Yeah. And what frustrates me the most about all this is the fact that with all that's going on in our country, that's the pressing matter that has to be focused on. How many school shootings have we seen? Grocery store shootings, school shootings have we seen in the last months alone? Absolutely. So all these things that are going on, that's what eats at me the most. Our Supreme Court found it so pressing to reverse Roe versus Wade, whereas we have dozens, hundreds of kids, of people in our country getting gunned down because they showed up to school that day. You know, and then there's many more issues that are at play around our country. You know, poverty, hunger, coming out of the pandemic, finances. Look at the fact that we are literally the prices of everything is skyrocketing. But that doesn't need to be adjusted. What needs to be adjusted is what women are doing with their bodies. So that's why I think I'm the most thrown of like, where did this even come from? Who first proposed this and said, you know what, forget everything else that's going on in the world. That's fine. I just heard news. There were like 46 immigrants that were just found dead in a truck. They were trying to escape and flee, and they were in Texas trying to get into the country. Found dead in a truck. Yeah. What about the issues around the fact that people still aren't safe in their own backyards? That they have to go to that length just to find freedom, just to find better opportunities, just to find a better spot to raise their families, that they're in the back of a truck to look for a better life. But the problem is the abortion. Right. That's also my biggest frustration around it all. There are so many other things that should be getting fought for. Gun control, so many other things that should be getting fought for. Equal opportunity, justice, police reform, you know, that we're going to just bypass that and jump to pick on the women like we always do.
Your words, I mean, they're echoing so much of what we're hearing today. And one, I just want to tell you, Agee and I, we are extremely excited and proud of you. I know you probably heard this a million times. You are changing the game. I mean, not only did you change the game in soccer, but became a living legend, a hero in the field, being one of the, you know, the very few African-American women to inspire other young soccer girls to live out their soccer dreams, but also, you know, even being in the media now. I mean, you're still fighting for pay, equality. What's your take on just equal pay, the equality? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, even that is something that is exhausting. That's a constant fight. You look at the fact that there aren't as many Black women in these spaces, not even just on air, but also producing and editing and shooting, you know? So equal pay starts with equal opportunity. We're not even getting hired for these roles. I think that's one of the more frustrating things that I've seen. And it's not just about me. I see plenty of talented, dark-skinned Black women, or plenty of talented Black women in general, that are not getting these opportunities. And when you turn on your TV and you don't see that, that's frustrating. What message is that sending? And then on top of that, you're turning around and not getting the equal pay that is deserved because of what? Because of your gender? You know, these are the reasons why, like, I know my fight is important. And the days get hard, and there definitely are times that I know even personally, I'm like, am I doing this? Am I supposed to be doing this? Am I in the right spot? But, you know, there are so many like myself, men and women, that are fighting for equality across the board, because there seems to still be there definitely is still the ignorant, misogynistic mindsets. There's a lot of gaps that need to be addressed. So I always say, like, okay, we all know they exist. Let's stop talking about the fact they exist. Let's actually talk about making them change. You know, let's actually include women. Let's actually include diversity. Like I said, Black women especially. Like, yes, there are more women in sports, but how many of them are Black women? How many of them are 100% Black women? And no knock on anybody, but how many of them are dark-skinned women, or, you know, whatever? There needs to be more diversity across the board. Not just Black women, Spanish women, you know, all the different backgrounds. But we have been seeing for so long. Now I feel like we talked about with just like Juneteenth and Title IX and things like that, it's the one day. You celebrate it, you post about it, and then the next day, Roe versus Wade gets overturned. And then the next day, we're not, you know, like we can't have it like that. It's got to be consistent. And there's too much fluff of like, look at us, we're doing all the right things, and not actual action to make long-term changes that will make a difference, unfortunately.
I have another question, and then my dog is going to ask his final question. My question for you is, I heard you sneak it in there, so I ain't going to let us go without you expounding on it, but talk about some of these other projects you got going on. And I did hear you say book. You kind of slid book in there. I caught it. So what you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of exactly as we've been talking about. There's a need for more, and I've always wanted to use my platform to help give back. So that's actually why I founded Planted Not Buried in December of 2020, and that's actually why I've been writing books. Actually, more than one. But just to be able to create something that's bigger than me, that's not me. I think something I found is like my voice and my platform and my pages are one thing, but can I build something that's separate from me, that I'm still behind, but that also can carry on a voice of its own that will still be impactful. So having books and having my own nonprofit and these different spaces that I'm working in just allows me to reach so many other people. And I'm not going to fully change everybody's perspective, but if I can help make a difference in some way, why not? So like right now I'm in the process of launching some self-help books, just kind of using my own experiences to be able to shine a light on different challenges and adversity and how to work through that. Eventually I'd like to tap into some other genres with book writing, but we'll see. But yeah, I just enjoy wearing the different many hats. We only get one life, why be cookie cutter and stay in a box? And I've been told like, you're doing so many things. Why not? Why not? I'm going to wake up, God willing, 40, 50, 60 years from now, and I don't want to have any regrets that, I wish I had done more of this, or I wish I had tried this. I'm going to try it all. And if I enjoy things and I'm passionate about things like writing, I'm going to tap into that now. While I don't have kids, I'm not married, now's the time to do it. So yeah, we'll see. The goal is, I've been saying this for a while now, they are done. It's just not as easy to publish books as it should be. But yeah, they are done. It's just now a matter of like getting them out there. They should be dropping on Amazon hopefully soon.
All right. Oh, wow. Listen, Renee, before I ask my last question, I want to give you a chance to talk about your nonprofit organization, Planted Not Buried. Where did you come with that name from, and what is the mission of your organization?
Yeah, I had heard the concept of Planted Not Buried in a few different sermons. Like I remember Bishop T.D. Jakes was talking about it, and Michael Todd and different people were talking about this idea that in life we often are planted, where we feel like we've been rejected, we feel like we've been denied from that opportunity. But in reality, you haven't been buried, you have been planted. And like a seed in the ground, you're blossoming, you're learning, you're growing. So in this dark season where things don't make sense, to understand that there's something bigger than you that's growing. And that it takes a village within that. So Planted Not Buried is a nonprofit that's focused on providing that village, resources, networking, just other ambitious professionals. And it's a wide variety of backgrounds. It's not just sports. Sports is a big part of it as well, but tapping into mental health and wellness and nutrition and domestic abuse and just different hats and different areas that people are struggling with. Because I kept finding so many people asking, where do I find this? How do I do this? How do I go about this? And we don't have those answers. So Planted Not Buried has a wide variety of things around virtual events. We actually have virtual events coming up as soon as the first week of July that we're doing that are just chances to come network and learn from other professionals. I've been tapping into connecting with other experts in their respective fields, and I'm not an expert at everything. So now bringing in somebody that works in fitness or bringing in someone that works in mental health that can talk about these things with whoever wants to be a part of it. Writing articles, having informative videos that people can watch, those like FAQ types of pieces, just providing a lot that people can easily, whatever works, whatever you're looking for, it's one space that is a database of resources and opportunities for you to learn and grow through that dark season. So it's been incredible to see how it's grown. I do actually have a great team of a mixture of interns and volunteers that work alongside me to help keep it going, because I definitely cannot do it all by myself. But it's incredible to see since December 2020, the doors it's open, the job opportunities it's open, the networking, and even the relationships around the world that I have people in Uganda and Canada and all these different countries that are reaching out like, I want to be a part of this. And I want to, thank you, or, just appreciative in some way. So it's growing, literally growing every day, more and more.
Well, any Black women CEOs of their own companies, here's a great nonprofit for you guys to get to know and donate to, which is called Planted Not Buried, founded by Renee Washington. And my last question for you, what is the next chapter? You didn't foreseen it. There's a vision there, but it ain't happened. What is that chapter for Renee Washington?
Yeah. And thank you for the plug. Also, I will say for anybody that's a business owner, we do partner with a lot of small businesses to help promote and highlight all the great things they're doing in their own respective communities. So definitely reach out. But for me, it's crazy. I'm living a lot of the things that I set out to do, and it happened a lot faster than I expected. So it's time to raise the bar a little bit more, as you guys know me now too well.
Yes.
I want to be, my goal is to now be more of a consistent TV personality. So I'm working with my team to get more opportunities, major networks. I do a lot of speaking engagement, so doing more of that. I don't want to just be a sports reporter. I love sports. I love talking sports, but I think there's value in doing more and being able to use my platform to now open those other doors. So now maybe you want to read my book because I am Renee Washington, the sports reporter, or you want to, have me out to speak at your school or your event. So the next goal that I'm really trying to solidify, that I'm manifesting, is the fact that I'm going to be a personality. I'm going to be booked and busy. I'm going to be all over the place. You're going to be like, what? She's here? Now she's here. But also being booked and busy to make a positive impact.
I'm the gold of my era. I've been a trending topic. I'm as fly as a feather. My pocket's macroscopic. See, with time I get better. I'm always in the action, kid. Know I got it locked from Chicago, where the toughest live. Concrete jungle, earn my stripes on the pavement there. You make it here, then you can make it anywhere. No comparison. Your game is embarrassing. No one can touch me. I'm all for going there again. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production. Written and produced by Arthur Agee, Will Gates, Matt Hoffer, with audio engineering from Matt Savage. For more episodes, check us out at www.unlearningnetwork.com.
Gotta be a dog to survive in this cold weather. Ice in my veins, no need for a warm sweater. I'm coming for it all, best believe I won't let up, yeah. Hey, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.